This is a true story that happened to a famous singer named Nourah back in 1997 in Kuwait. Nourah was a very famous singer and a leader of a small group of performers hired for occasions such as marriage ceremonies and such. One day she had a call from a stranger, like every other day, who wanted to hire her band for his daughter's marriage. She accepted, and he gave her the address. Back in 1997, most of Kuwaitis used to do their marriage ceremonies in their homes. The awaited day came. Nourah and her band followed the details of the address to a mansion outside the city in the middle of nowhere. But the band didn't think much of it, as it wasn't their first time performing in such a place. So they went it, got greeted by the owners, and then at 10 p.m. started getting ready for the show. It was 10:30. Guests started showing up. One after another, they stormed the mansion, though it felt like they were popping off out of thin air. Nourah and her friends didn't make much of it, as the mansion was too big and had many entrances. There was just too many of them. 11:30, things started getting really weird. Nourah and her friends saw the guests dancing, moving in such ways like they have never seen before. Their moves were hypnotizing and downright creepy. It was then Nourah and her friends knew something wrong was going on. Some of the guests went to greet Nourah and her friends. Nourah felt that the skin on these guests was so hot and so hard. But she thought nothing of it, as it was summer, and it was hot inside. Weird enough, Nourah looked at her friend as she was having this blank look on her face. She felt what Nourah felt as well. With only her eyes, she told her to not make much of it and just continue on playing. Midnight. Things went from creepy to, I can't believe my own eyes anymore. The guests, the owners, they are not humans anymore. Legs and hands like those of a sheep, dancing non-stop. Nourah and her friends couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Nourah was shaking, and her voice was too, as she looked at her friends with dead looks on their faces, half of them ready to storm out, and the other half ready to lose consciousness. Nourah told them to endure it, not to leave, and to act normal. She feared for herself and her friends should they make a scene. The band kept on playing on and on. They didn't believe what was going on, nor what should they do. Fear shackled them to that place. They only knew they were trapped. 3 a.m., the lights suddenly went off. You couldn't hear a sound anymore. They felt as if they were the only people inside that mansion. They felt as if they were performing in the dark all along. The temperature dropped from hot to freezing. Nourah and her friends couldn't stand the horror they were witnessing anymore and took a run for it, leaving behind them all of their belongings, happy they could at least run for their lives. It was later they knew that the mansion was abandoned 10 years ago and that nobody lived there ever since, though it still looked well maintained. It was later they knew they were attending a jinn marriage ceremony. Some would say Nourah and her friends made this story up for fame and fortune. They would be wrong, for that was her last performance. She retired after the incident,